Tonight, war in the Middle East. US strikes kill Iran's supreme leader. Dancing in the streets of Brisbane as Australia backs its allies. And the conflict plunges air travel into chaos, with travellers stranded around the world. I'm Jessica Van Vonderen. This is ABC News, Queensland. Also tonight, new offences to be added to Queensland's adult crime, adult time laws.
And summer is officially over, but the cyclone season is not, with a risk looming in the northern Coral Sea this week.
Good evening. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has been killed in a major coordinated attack by US and Israeli forces. The strikes in Tehran have been met with a fierce retaliation from the regime as it vowed severe punishment, launching missiles and drones at countries across the Middle East. US President Donald Trump says the military action gives Iranians the greatest chance to take back their country. Australia has thrown its support behind the US action, which has been condemned by the United Nations, and plunged the region into chaos, including disruptions at airports across the world. Middle East correspondent Matthew Doran begins our coverage from Tel Aviv.
A catastrophic escalation. For hours, missiles crisscross Middle Eastern skies. In Iran, people celebrated near the Ayatollah's destroyed compound, dancing and singing as news spread of the 86-year-old dictator's death from Israeli and US bombs.
It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
The announcement of his death on state TV, drawing dramatic emotions. The Israeli-US joint strikes began in broad daylight, hitting multiple Iranian cities, including the capital. US President Donald Trump quickly taking a war footing.
For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder. This regime will soon learn that no one should challenge the strength and might of the United States Armed Forces.
Iranian state media says more than 100 were killed when a missile hit an all-girls school in the country's south.
As a result of this brutal armed attack, hundreds of civilians have been killed and injured.
Then Iran hit back with wave after wave of retaliatory strikes.
Wow.
Firing more than 150 missiles and drones aimed at Israel and US bases around the region. As warning sirens blared, Israelis ran for cover. A missile slipped through the Iron Dome, hitting a residential building in Tel Aviv. Elsewhere, another hit a luxury hotel in Dubai, tourists fleeing in panic. Missiles were also fired towards Qatar, with explosions seen in Bahrain, where the US Navy's Fifth Fleet is stationed. An emergency meeting of the UN Security Council has been held, with the Secretary-General saying the US, Israel and Iran have broken international law. But Australia has thrown its support behind the Israeli and US action, while making it clear it played no direct role.
Australia supports action to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon and to prevent Iran from continuing to threaten international peace and security. Obviously, Australia did not participate in these strikes.
It is clear they must never be allowed to develop a nuclear weapon. That remains the primary aim of the United Kingdom and our allies, including the US.
Israel says it hit hundreds of military targets and warned there are more strikes on the way.
This morning we eliminated senior officials in the Ayatollah's regime, Revolutionary Guards commanders, senior figures in the nuclear program, and we will continue. In the next few days we will hit thousands more targets of the terror regime.
Among those killed, Mohammad Pakpour, head of the Revolutionary Guard, Defence Minister Aziz Nasrizadeh, and Ali Shamkhani, a top military advisor. A number of senior figures could step up into the power vacuum, including Ali Larijani, head of the country's National Security Council, as well as cleric Hassan Khomeini and Chief Justice Ghulam Hossein Mohseni. The Iranian cabinet has warned this great crime will not go unanswered. For 37 years, Ali Khamenei reigned Iran with an iron fist. When the country was at its most powerful, he oversaw its nuclear program and spread Iran's power through its network of proxies, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and Hamas in Gaza, who were behind the October 7 attack on Israel. But Khamenei also presided over Iran's rapid decline. Successive popular protests in recent years have been met with brutal, deadly crackdowns as he fought to remain in control. But that uprising demonstrated cracks in the regime. Donald Trump now saying this is the single greatest chance for the Iranian people to take back their country. The exiled Crown Prince joining those calls.
The final victory will still be forged by our hands. It is we, the people of Iran, who will finish the job in this final battle. The time to return to the streets is near.
Well, let's bring in our correspondent, Matthew Doran. Matthew, missiles are still being launched on both sides. What are you seeing in Tel Aviv?
Jess, good evening. We have just had to seek shelter with another barrage of missiles coming into the city. Just before speaking to you, we could hear some loud explosions of those interceptions, those Israeli missiles trying to pick the Iranian threat out of the sky before it hits anyone. And you can see some of the damage, this because we are standing near a building that was hit last night. You can see the shockwave, how much damage it's caused to some of the neighbouring buildings here as well. Windows blown out for a couple of streets around, and that's not even a building that was directly hit. That is just the blast wave, the shock wave from last night's attack, which killed one woman and injured dozens more. There is a fear that this is what's going to happen over and over again for the next couple of days, because Iran is promising that the weapons it's used so far are not its most sophisticated in its arsenal. So this will play out for some time to come.
Matthew Doran, thank you. Take care. Here in Australia, nearly 30 planes and hundreds of travellers were left stranded when the airspace over the Middle East was suddenly closed. The federal government's issued fresh travel warnings for much of the region and urged Australians to leave if they can. Here's National Affairs correspondent Jane Norman.
Waving their flags with pride and pure joy, Iranian Australians celebrate the death of a dictator. Outside the Iranian embassy, euphoria fills the suburban street.
It's the greatest news. Thank you very much, Mr. Trump. Thank you very much, Prime Minister Netanyahu.
This is not the war. This is the rescue mission.
Waiting to hear from friends and family in Iran, those who fled dare to dream of what comes next.
We are so excited. Words cannot describe the feeling of the people of Iran. And I cannot wait to enter a free Iran.
She'll have to wait a little longer amid the celebrations, travel chaos. As missiles rained down, major Middle Eastern airports closed down. Some travellers made it out blissfully unaware.
We've literally come off the plane, so I have no news, I've no updates. What has gone on in Iran?
Qatar Airways flights from Sydney, Brisbane, Melbourne and Perth barely made it out of Australian airspace before they were forced to turn back. Planes and travellers stranded in Australia, counting the cost of connections lost.
I spent over $4,000 on this flight. It's my mother's 90th birthday in 3 days' time. I'm not going to be there now.
Well, I was told last night I get no recompense at all because it's war.
In Sydney,
it's been absolutely chaos.
Hundreds were forced to sleep in the terminal, with hotels across the city booked out for Mardi Gras.
Fortunately, the blow-up mattress made it a bit more comfortable compared to some other people.
Australian officials are closely monitoring what is an evolving situation.
The Prime Minister convening a meeting of the National Security Committee. Its immediate focus, Australians in the region, slapping do not travel warnings on multiple countries surrounding Iran and urging anyone there to leave if they can.
Our ability to provide consular assistance in Iran is extremely limited.
The government closed the Tehran embassy last year and expelled Iran's ambassador, revealing the regime was responsible for at least 2 attacks on Australian soil.
I think no one would mourn the passing of Ayatollah Khamenei.
I shed no tears over the death of the Ayatollah.
This is an illegal attack by Israel and the United States.
While clearly supporting the US, the Albanese government is choosing its words carefully, sidestepping questions about whether this attack was legal or justified. For now, it's putting in place plans for possible repatriations and preparing for significant aftershocks.
Unfortunately, we will likely see a spike in oil prices globally. Probably anywhere between 5 and 10%.
Amid the uncertainty, one thing's clear. These Iranians are ready to seize their destiny. Jane Norman, ABC News, Canberra.
There have been similar scenes in Brisbane with dancing and music in the streets.
Tearful hugs, waving flags and chanting, dancing, singing and sharing sweets.
We are here to celebrate the death of our dictator.
We're so happy, we're so excited. We are finally taking our homeland back.
The supreme leader, the big dictator, the big tyrant is just gone.
In this war between people and my regime, people win.
Hundreds of Iranian Australians gathered in Brisbane, cautiously welcoming the Ayatollah's death and what many hope will be a lasting regime change.
I know we are celebrating, but we will be finally celebrating when the whole entire IRGC is gone and the entire Iranian regime is over and done with.
With strikes expected to continue in Iran and across the Middle East, many were keeping their family and friends back home at the front of their minds, adding a sombre element to the joyous celebrations.
We are incredibly worried, but now we know that getting out of this oppression would mean losing some lives.
The way to freedom is not always easy, so there will definitely be risks and dangers, but I think we can easily overcome that.
Hopes for a different future and, for some, a return to Iran. Lottie Twyford, ABC News, Brisbane.
Well, the ABC has also spoken to Iranians on the ground. Like people around the world, many are celebrating. But there's also trepidation. More blood could be shed.
Despite a widespread internet blackout, scenes of celebration are still getting out of Iran.
الان همه با رفیقامون اینو نشستیم داریم به سلامتی کشته شدن خامنه‌ای جشن میگیریم.
But amongst the jubilation for some, there's also fear about what the regime could do next.
There would be physical tortures.
Melbourne woman Nikujali Van Fad has spoken with her mother, who's locked up in Iran's notorious Evin prison, and has shared the audio with the ABC. She says the 50-year-old's been in jail for 3 years, wrongly accused of being a spy for Israel.
She was thinking, if anything happens to me, I'm just leaving you to the God. And it was very hard to hear all that conversation and not be able to even hug her.
So you fear they're going to execute her?
That was one of our biggest fears that we had.
But amid the uncertainty among the diaspora, there's also joy.
End of Khamenei, end of sugar daddy to Hamas and Hezbollah and Houthis.
We are so excited. All of Iranians, we are waiting 47 years for today.
In Sydney, they were dancing in Hyde Park, hopeful that regime change could be imminent.
I hope we will have a free Iran, and then we will have a democratic Iran and a free Iran.
A hope that many Iranians around the world share. Nassim Khadem, ABC News.
Donald Trump campaigned on a promise of ending foreign wars, but the president argues Iran had the opportunity to strike a deal before the US unleashed what it's calling Operation Epic Fury.
An extraordinary operation, overseen from Donald Trump's Florida home, the president remaining at Mar-a-Lago as Americans absorbed the news of his latest intervention.
We didn't learn learn from the Iraq War. We need a regime change here.
The US had been negotiating with Iran over its nuclear program up until a few days ago. Defence Secretary Pete Hegseth saying the Iranian regime had their chance yet refused to make a deal, and now they are suffering the consequences.
We are witnessing a grave threat to international peace and security. Military action carries the risk of igniting a chain of events that no one can control in the most volatile region of the world.
This is an incredibly risky move for a president who pledged to stop wars, not start them. With no clear idea yet of how long this conflict is going to run and the possibility of US lives being lost, Donald Trump is under pressure to justify his actions to the American people.
A short time ago,
Democrats and some Republicans on Capitol Hill argue the president needed congressional approval before launching the strikes.
President Trump has initiated a completely unnecessary, in my view, really idiotic and illegal war against Iran.
From Iranian Americans, though, expressions of gratitude.
I just want to say thank you, Donald Trump, you're a man of your word.
A sense of hope that Donald Trump's gamble will pay off. Rachel Clayton, ABC News, Washington.
In Pakistan, local authorities say at least 9 people have been killed in clashes with police during protests over the Supreme Leader's death in Iran. Hundreds of people stormed the US consulate in the port city of Karachi, with protesters breaching the outer wall of the building. Police fired tear gas to scatter them, pushing them back from the consulate. Large rallies have also broken out in other parts of the country. With the death of Iran's supreme leader, the question turns to what happens next. Iran's government has already announced an interim leadership, but as America's editor John Lyons explains, there's no guarantee that'll hold.
The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, has been the Praetorian Guard for the regime in Tehran. With the killing of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei in the US-Israeli attacks, the IRGC now becomes the most powerful institution in the country. They will not only be running the country, but they'll now be running this war as well. The key thing to watch now will be whether there are defections from inside the IRGC. If there are major defections, then this regime may fall. If the IRGC stays united, the regime will be weakened but not defeated. The Supreme Leader and the old men of this theocracy are not popular inside Iran. The days ahead will be dangerous and unpredictable. The IRGC has used its brutal machinery to smash previous uprisings. This is now a dramatic battle between younger Iranians and the Revolutionary Guard.
Let's get some news from around Queensland now. Jenny Woodward is here, and Jenny, there's the potential for a cyclone.
Yes, Jess, the monsoon is back and a number of lows are developing, possibly one in the Gulf, which would move southwest over the Territory, but another one is brewing in the Coral Sea. It's about 900 kilometres east of Cairns. Now, that's the one to watch. All the models agree that it will head west midweek, but there's a good chance it will spin up into a cyclone, but still a lot of uncertainty about where it will go. And Jess, more weather and photos soon.
Thanks, Jenny. Youth offenders in Queensland could face up to life in prison under another expansion to adult crime, adult time laws. It's part of the government's plan to keep Queenslanders safe, but its effectiveness has been questioned.
Rioting, administering poison and aiding suicide. These are just some of the 12 new offences added to Queensland's adult crime, adult time laws.
The metric is harm. The metric is, do these offenders cause serious harm?
An expert legal panel also recommended abuse of a person with impairment of mind be added and indecent treatment of a child, which would take the total to 45.
We will not wait for a 10-year-old to be assaulted. We will not wait for a person with disabilities to be assaulted in order to take action.
This is a really important next step in our quest to do what we said we would do, and that is make this state safer and drive down victim numbers in Queensland. And everything we do has a focus on that.
Youth advocates say the government isn't focused on the right issues.
I don't think that this hodgepodge of offences will make much of an impact on community safety at all, because they're not offences that are committed much by children. What we need to do is address housing, mental health problems, domestic and family violence.
Half of the new offences have a maximum penalty of life.
The detention centres in Queensland are known, particularly in Townsville, as crime factories because the kids come out worse in many cases.
We know that locking people up doesn't address the issues.
The government challenged the opposition to support the additions, but Labor says it will assess the legislation when it's introduced to Parliament this week. Lucy Lorem, ABC News.
Almost 40 years ago, Queensland became the first place in the world to make it a crime for residents to go overseas for commercial surrogacy. That law is again under the spotlight, with a national review proposing the criminal offence should be repealed.
He affectionately refers to his cavoodle as his first child, but Alex and his husband long for a baby too.
It'd be like the world's dream for us to be dads one day.
The couple spent 2 years trying to navigate surrogacy in Australia before turning their sights overseas.
We're doing sort of your egg donorship over there. They do the embryo creation and they match you with a surrogate within their matching timeframes, and then on to hopefully be dads.
But going overseas can be fraught. Under the law, the Brisbane lawyer can only do altruistic surrogacy, where expenses are covered with no personal profit. Commercial surrogacy is illegal in Australia, and some states, including Queensland, also make it a criminal offence to do it abroad.
Queensland was the first place in the world to make this a crime. Experts say bans on overseas conduct are quite rare, usually reserved for offences like human trafficking. The Australian Law Reform Commission is reviewing the laws and has proposed the extraterritorial criminal offence for commercial surrogacy be repealed.
Last year, the ABC revealed a Brisbane couple had been referred for potential prosecution over allegations they used commercial surrogacy overseas. Police later confirmed the pair wouldn't be charged.
These laws simply don't work. They've never worked. They frighten people unnecessarily.
However, the ALRC also says it recognises overseas surrogacy could risk exploitation. It's proposing a civil penalty regime instead. The Queensland Attorney-General's office will consider any recommendations when the final report is delivered in July. Kate McKenna, ABC News.
Sport now. Mackenzie Colahan is here, and Mac, the NRL season underway in Vegas, but not a good start for the Cowboys.
The footy season comes around fast, doesn't it, Jess? Today, the Bulldogs beat the Dragons in a Golden Point thriller in Sin City, and the Cowboys were upset by last year's Wooden Spooners.
Right now, it's showtime!
Kicking off a new season, Newcastle were looking sharp against the Cowboys.
Ponga for Sharp. Sharp goes up. Sharp takes it. Sharp scores!
Armed with new recruit Dylan Brown and a fit Kalen Ponga.
Ponga burns off McIntyre. Then gets it out to Best. Bradman Best scores!
Just as Fletcher Sharp was heating up, the 5'8" came off with a non-contact injury, giving North Queensland an opening. But the Cowboys' efforts were off the mark, and the Knights' crusade to Vegas happily ended with a 10-point win.
For the Newcastle Knights and their new coach.
Facing local rivals, the Dragons, Lockie Galvin set out to stamp his authority as Canterbury's halfback.
Galvin and Preston! Oh, footwork!
The Bulldogs tried to get some breathing space as St George Illawarra made a trick play for Setu Tu's debut 4-pointer.
There's his offload. What a play! Holmes got it away!
Locked at 14-all, the Bulldogs captain kicked the winner with just 10 seconds left in Golden Points.
It goes to the skipper, and Stephen Crichton!
Securing the win 15 points to 14 as the curtain closed on another show in Vegas.
Stephen Crichton take a
Bindi Bryce, ABC News.
The Matildas have opened their Women's Asian Cup campaign against the Philippines at Perth Stadium tonight. ABC Sports' Amanda Shalala is there. Amanda, there have been some injury concerns for the Matildas.
Mark, the goalkeepers just can't catch a break. Jada Wyman was today ruled out of the tournament with a knee injury. She's been replaced in the squad by Morgan Aquino. This comes just a week after Tegan Micah had to withdraw due to concussion, and she was replaced by Brisbane Raw's Chloe Lincoln. On top of that, first choice Mackenzie Arnold has had an interrupted build-up. She had limited minutes on the training pitch all week. Despite that, the Matildas are still the heavy favourites to come away with the win tonight. The last time these two teams met was here in Perth, and the Matildas won 8-0.
And Iran's women's team is preparing for its first match.
Mark, Iran will face South Korea on the Gold Coast tomorrow night, and their players have had a very challenging build-up to this tournament. They've been dealing with the anti-government protests which have escalated over the past couple of months, and then of course today's news with the death of the Supreme Leader. Now the players and staff are not allowed to speak out about the regime, so when the head coach was asked about her reaction to the latest developments today, unsurprisingly she didn't want to comment.
The team came to this tournament, which is important for women, and I think we should go to the next question.
And Mark, this tournament will be staged across Perth, the Gold Coast and Sydney, with the final in Sydney on March 21.
I can't wait. Amanda Shalala there, thank you. A blistering century from Elisa Healy has set India a record run chase in the third Women's One-Day International. The retiring skipper blasted 158 of 98 deliveries in her final white ball game for her country. She was given a Guard of Honour after being sent in to bat in Hobart, and she put on a clinic, smashing 29 boundaries. But she could only laugh at this dismissal. What a way to get out, missing a full toss. India got off to a flyer but lost key wickets and will need a miracle to chase down 410. The Townsville Fire have won the WNBL Championship in a nail-biting overtime win against the Perth Lynx. Perth started strong in front of a sellout crowd and led by 6 points at the end of the first quarter. The lead changed hands throughout the final term before the Fire drew level in the dying seconds to send it to extra time. Townsville edged ahead and held on to win the grand final series 2-0 and claim their 5th title.
I'm just so happy. Like, this group of girls is so special. Like, every single day they've worked their asses off. Like, we all love each other. It's like just such a fun environment to be a part of. Like, I genuinely think that we really deserve this. I'm just so happy for everyone.
Jess, that's another national sporting trophy coming back to Queensland, and what a way to do it.
So good. Mac, thank you so much. Weather now. Jenny's back with us. And Jenny, major flooding is continuing.
Yes, Jess, a lot of water is feeding slowly into the Georgina River, so major flooding for some time there. We've also got major flood levels in the Flinders, Thompson and Cooper Creek. Gas was the hottest today on 37, and it's been really humid in the west too. 34 the top in Mount Isa, and we had 30 at Hervey Bay. Now there have been some light showers across the city and tops of 30 to 31 degrees. Darkening clouds over the ocean for Diane as she looked out from Saunders Beach in Townsville. A misty outlook this morning for Liz from Telstra Hill, which is near Mount Isa on the way to Cloncurry. While clouds were bubbling up over the Atherton tablelands this afternoon near Atherton, and thanks Paul for the photo. Onto the satellite, and we've got those storms firing off in the north on the monsoon line, while the onshore winds are bringing showers to coastal areas. Now the Central Coast ranges had more than 100 millimetres overnight. That heavier rain moved up to the Ingham area today, and we've also got the trough with the old low moving through the Bight. So a cool, wet start to autumn in Melbourne, 20 to 23 degrees, 21 in Canberra, quite wet there, up to 25 millimetres possible, and there'll be a few showers in Sydney. Onto the chart, and we're on cyclone watch for the low in the Coral Sea, which is expected to head west midweek. In the southwest, it's still very unstable, where that persistent inland trough continues to trigger showers and storms. The coastal ridge is keeping conditions mainly fine over central and southern parts, but still some coastal showers about. Not much change over the next few days, but later in the week the outlook really depends depends on this low, but it will be very wet across the north. And here's our storm outlook with severe storms. Highest risk in the wet, but we've still got pockets of severe storms over the tropics, particularly on the tropical coast, which you could see some very heavy falls around the Ingham area and further north. Severe storms in the southwest, isolated activity otherwise. It'll be sunny in the central west and we could see some showers too along the southern border. In the southeast pocket, morning showers possible on the Granite Belt and about the southeast coast, 29 for the Sunshine Coast and Gympie. Chance of a morning shower in Brisbane, 29 degrees, 30 for Ipswich. On the bay, southeasterlies 10 to 20 knots, turning easterly in the morning. And we've got the chance of a few showers for the rest of the week, especially Friday, Saturday and Sunday, Jess, but the falls will be less than 10 millimetres.
All right, Jenny, thank you so much for that. That is ABC News to the moment. Thanks for your company. Good night.
Good night.